We really have to change directions. Philosophers have gotten into the act. This is Dipesh Chakrabarty, a colleague of mine from the University of Chicago. And he says our society is based on a human-centric approach. It's all about us. It's all about getting wealthy. It's all about consuming more. It's all about traveling around the world and so on. But the Anthropocene demands a zoocentric or life-centric approach. He's got this beautiful turn of phrase saying, what we need is an epochal consciousness because we are changing the epoch of planet Earth. And he says we're stuck, even in academia, in departmental thinking. That's a big problem. I'm going to close by the longest continuous civilization on planet Earth, Indigenous Australians. As far as we know, they've been here at least 65,000 years and perhaps more. They're the only society that I know of that's gone through the Ice Age Holocene transition intact on probably the toughest continent on the world to do that. There's a lot of wisdom embodied in Indigenous Australians, and I think they have some very good pointers for how we need to go forward in the 21st century. This is a quote from an elder from the Noongar people and a very good book called Elders' Wisdom from Australia's Indigenous Leaders. Noongar people are from WA, down, I think, just south of the Perth region. But here's what she said. We're only here for a short amount of time to do what we've been put here to do, which is to look after country. We're only a tool in the cycle of things. Notice that they already knew about cycles, not linear cause-effect stuff, cycles. We go out into the world and help keep the balance of nature. There's balance, all right? We don't exploit it just to keep increasing our GDP. Our goal is to keep the balance. It's a big cycle of living with the land and then eventually going back to it. When we talk about Indigenous culture, values, and so on, they don't stand still either. And they're keen on learning from each other, going forward, but they have this deep-rooted feeling for the country. And that's what we blow-ins from originally from Europe are missing. And that's hugely important. So I think we have an interesting opportunity in Australia because we have a lot of people from overseas. I think over half of us weren't born in Australia, like myself, although I've lived here for 44 years now. And we have the longest continuous culture on the planet. Surely we can get together and do some really innovative things here and make Australia a showcase for how you back off from the Anthropocene and make it a very different trajectory that we want to go on. So I'm going to close there. I hope I've convinced you that the Anthropocene is real. It certainly is real in terms of the Earth system. We have left the stability of the Holocene. We know that for certain. The stratigraphers are telling us that there is a massive evidence that this is a new epoch in Earth history. But the point is, we're in the midst of it. It's evolving, it's changing, it's accelerating. It's a trajectory to a point that we can't yet know. So the question we need to ask ourselves, before we hit that fork in the road in the Earth system, we must ask ourselves this question: where on Earth are we going? Thank you very much. The one thing I would want people to understand is that your life on Earth, your 70, 80 odd years if you have a good life, what really do you want to make out of that? Is it only about getting wealthy and consuming more and going faster? Maybe COVID's showing us that there are some benefits of slowing down a little bit. But when you get out, at least in this wonderful land, and I've tried to spend as much of my free time as I can going around the continent, and you wonder you just have to wonder at what a fantastic place this actually is. And if I could go back, I don't know whether I'd go into science as deeply as I have, or do what one of my colleagues did, an ecologist at CSIRO. I'll leave you on this note. When he retired, when he hit 65, he did what most of us scientists never do, which is just to stop. He said, I want to get a combi, I'm going to go around, I'm going to learn more and more about this country and spend my last years just living in this place. So that's something to think about, and something I'm trying to do more and more of, but I think I'm a little bit too much fascinated by the science still.